Hi guys, my name is Bex and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be bringing you my favourite books of 2017. My god guys, this is the most exciting video I've filmed in a very long time because I'm talking about my best books of 2017 and that brings me so much joy. What I've done today is I have picked my top 5 books of 2017 with 2 runners up because that's the way I'm rolling this year. So I'll be talking about 7 books today and they're my favourites. So if any book I recommend, it is these 7. So I hope you enjoy and let's get started. So starting with number 7, which is my second runner-up this year, and that is New Red Rising by Jennifer Wilson. This book is a dystopian and it is an Of Tomes publishing, which is awesome, and I really enjoyed this. I received this in an owl crate and it basically follows Phoenix, who lives alone in a world where there are tribes whose motto is join or be killed, and that's the way Phoenix lives her life. She moves around a lot and hides and refuses to join one of these tribes, which is amazing. That is until her life is in danger and she needs saving, and then she is brought into a whole different world. So really liked this one. This was one of the best dystopians I've read in a very long time. I find when I'm in a slump, dystopian is the one thing that pulls me back to reading, and this one definitely did that. It stood out to me straight away when it arrived in the Owl Crate box, and I read it straight away and I freaking loved it. It was such a fast-paced book for me. It was action-packed and I loved the characters and the character development. There is also 2 other books in the series. One I read this year, but unfortunately it had a little bit of second book syndrome where I didn't love it as much, even though I still really enjoyed it. This one is just the best, and I cannot wait to read New World Inferno, which is the 3rd and final book in this trilogy. Now my first runner-up is A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab, and holy shit, I love this book. I loved this so much more than I thought I would. Now this is the second book in the Darker Shade of Magic series, which follows Kel, who is an Antari, which means he can basically travel through different Londons, and there's 4 different Londons. Black London, White London, Grey London, and Red London. He is from Red London, which is full of life and full of magic, and it is just wonderful. He is one of the only people that can travel through these different parallel universes. But basically, Cal's a bit naughty, and he's not allowed to bring things from different Londons, but he does, and he is caught bringing something into the different Londons that should not be moved into different Londons, and he causes a lot of trouble. So he meets up with a self-professed pirate named Lila Bard, and it's just a really good adventure story. It's got beautiful world building. Like, this world building I think outdoes any other book. The world building is fantastic and it's so clear and vibrant, and I love that I can picture the world, and it's such a good magic system as well, which is really awesome. The characters are wonderful and I really think they develop further in this book. I didn't know whether I was going to continue on after A Darker Shade of Magic, but I did. I forced myself to, and I'm so glad I did because I actually hate Lila Bard as a character. I know, unpopular opinion. I feel like she's shoved down my throat a little bit too much and I just don't enjoy her. I think she's cocky and I think she needs to calm the fuck down. But that's just my opinion. I know Jade's sitting there watching this like, fuck you Beck, she's my favourite character. I know Jade, I'm sorry. I really enjoyed this, and I'm hoping A Conjuring of Light brings me more into liking the characters. I love the character development. I love the character dynamics as well. I think the dynamics within this book is fantastic, and we also get some new characters, which I freaking loved. So really glad I continued on, and I really liked A Gathering of Shadows. Moving on to number 5, which is on my favorites list, and this one has to be The Lightning Struck Heart by TJ Klune, and this one is phenomenal. Now this one's on my list purely because I enjoyed reading it, I had fun, and I laughed out loud in my room listening to this on audiobook. The Lightning Struck Heart follows Sam of Wiles, who is an apprentice wizard to the king, which is really cool. So basically he is being mentored to be the best wizard he can be for the future kid of Verania, and Verania is full of some interesting characters, and basically Sam falls in love with the Knight Commander Ryan Foxheart, which is fantastic. The issue with this is Ryan Foxheart is engaged to the prince, so shit got a bit awkward. Then Dragon comes, causes a bit of a scene, takes the prince, and it's Sam's job and his friends to go on an adventure save the kingdom, all that cool shit. So basically, it's an adventure, and oh god, I had so much fun. It was hilarious. Now, this is not for everybody. This is not for everybody, so calm down if you're like, this sounds like it's for me. It's not for everybody. It has inappropriate humor. It has sexual jokes, which, you know, it's my thing, but it might not be your thing. So if you're into that kind of thing and want an inappropriate adventure story, this is for you. If you're not into that, don't read it. Not for you. You won't like it, and then you'll judge me, which is, you know, we're not about that here. The amount of joy this story brought me is the reason it got up here, because I had fun and I enjoyed that and I loved getting into this world. But yeah, I really loved this. I loved the story. I loved that it didn't take itself too seriously. It was just a fun time, and that's what it was. A fun time. Moving on to number 4 on my list of favorites, it is The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas, which is a contemporary that surrounds the Black Lives Matter movement. It follows 16-year-old Star, who witnesses her unarmed best friend get murdered by a white police officer. It is such a moving story. It basically follows Star, and that every action has a repercussion, and it's beautifully written. Star is raised in a poor neighborhood but goes to a rich school, predominantly a white school, and it's about her discovering what happened and whether the police officer will get committed for this crime, or it's just, there was so many emotions. It was emotional, it was raw, it was powerful, and it was a story that needed to be said, especially because this shit happened. And I feel like I'm really sheltered, and I felt really sad reading it because I know it was so real. So it was powerful, it was moving, it was stunningly written, and Angie Thomas just has a way with writing that this felt so natural and beautiful, and I loved every second. Number 3, and that is Nevernight and God's Grave by Jay Kristoff. I read both of these this year, and I enjoyed them so much. This is about Mia Corvia, who is a young girl who watches her mother be taken from her and her dad killed for treason, and basically she goes to the Red Church and trains to be an assassin, which is awesome as a premise. But the writing in this book was beautiful, and the story was so developed, and I loved the world, and everything in these books was so good. I felt like Jay has a way of writing that just keeps you on the edge of your seat, and you never know what's gonna happen, and I really enjoyed that. As well as that, the character development in these are amazing, and the characters are layered and diverse, and I really enjoyed the story. The plot was fast-paced, and although the first 100 pages in each of these books were a struggle for me to get into, every second of the story was still enjoyable, and the end just left me sitting there going, what the fuck just happened? Like, what? How can you end it like that? Especially this one, Jay. That's fucking cruel. But I really enjoyed these. These are definitely in my top 3, and I definitely recommend them. It was bloody, it was brutal, but it was fantastic. Moving on to my second favorite read of the year, and there's 3 of them because it is a trilogy. And that is the Red Rising Trilogy by Pierce Brown. The Red Rising Trilogy is freaking phenomenal. It follows Darrow, who is a red, and he is basically in the lowest form of society. They are the slaves, even though they don't know they're the slaves. They have been, like, kind of grown up on a lie that they are making Mars habitable for other colors to come and to live safely. However, they've been deceived. The other colors are already there, and the Golds are living rich in their mansions and playing political games while the Reds rot under the surface of Mars. This trilogy was so amazing. Pierce has a beautiful way of writing. I think he has really masculine writing because it was raw and brutal, and no detail was spared. It was such an experience reading these novels. I think Golden Sun's my favorite, which I obviously can't give you a synopsis of, but I loved all of them, and the way Pierce paces his chapters and writes is phenomenal because he ends the chapter on a cliffhanger, like nearly every fucking chapter, because you're sitting there and you've read the end and you're like, wait, what? And then you've got to read again, then you get to the next chapter and you're like, wait, what? And then you've got to, and you end up flying through this series. I read both of these 2 in December, and it was absolutely fantastic. It was such an experience, and it was such a world, and I read this in anticipation for Iron Gold, which comes out in January, and I am so ready for these characters. The whole time you never know who is safe, and it's just, it was such a beautiful story, and I highly recommend this. This is dystopian, but is in space, so I feel like everyone should read this and try to get their hands on it because honestly, it's such a beautiful trilogy. I actually have a non-spoilery review, which I'll leave up in the cards and down below. Definitely go check it out if you want some more information. But this had to make my favorites. The plot was good. The writing was beautiful. The characters were well developed. Holy shit, were they developed. Where Darrow comes from to where he goes is just incredible. And the side characters are fantastic and so layered, and oh my god. Loved it. Can't stop raving. Can't stop raving. Little rave party here by myself. It was fantastic. And coming in at number 1, it of course is A Court of Mist and Fury and A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. Holy goodness, I read both of these this year. I finished this one on the 2nd of January and I finished this one when it came out in May, straight away. Holy, I could not get enough of this trilogy. So much so that I will continue to reread this because I had such a good time. The plot was amazing and the writing was amazing, but the characters here are what I live for. The characters are so well developed and they're so diverse, but I love every single one of them. Sarah J. Maas writes characters just so well and you fall in love with them. I absolutely love every one of the inner circle, and it's such a good book when you know that you're just thinking about the characters all the time and you're thinking about rereading because the books were just that good. And of course we're getting a novella, which I can't even fucking deal. I'm that excited about the novella. It's called A Court of Frost and Starlight, which is the weirdest name I've heard in a while, but I'm so excited because it's gonna go into these characters more. Basically, if you have not heard of Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy, I don't know where you've been hiding, but hello, welcome. We are Sarah J. Maas fans here. And basically, A Court of Thorns and Roses follows Feyre, who is a human who kills a sentry to the Fae. So, in retribution for the life she took, she has to give up her life into the Fae lands, and she is taken against her will by one of the High Lords named Tamlin. Shit goes down. It's basically a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but I didn't want to tell you too much about it, but it's basically about her time there, and it's so good. Now, this one follows her after that one, and I think A Court of Mist and Fury is my favorite book, honestly. You could not get a better story than A Court of Mist and Fury, so if you don't like A Court of Thorns and Roses, keep going. Just keep going. I promise you, you will enjoy this. And you can tell Sarah J. Maas's writing is developing really well in these series, so I'm really excited to see where she goes in the new one. But yes, these are my top favorites of the year. So that is it, guys. There you have heard me gushing about all my favorites, and this was such a good video to film. I feel so excited and so happy that I've read this many books and that I had such a good reading year because it just brings me joy reading good books, and I was really excited to actually have a lot of 5-star reads this year, and yeah, I love them very much. So that is all from me today, guys. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more and have not already, and chat to me down in the comments. Let me know your favorite read because I'd love to check it out, or if it's one of these, definitely let me know down below in the comments. That's it from me today, guys. I make videos every Monday and Thursday, and I will see you in a new one. Bye!